Ladies and gentlemen, it is already 2022. If your social media game is weak, then you are seriously missing out on a lot of potential revenue for your business. Not only this, but social media can help build a flywheel effect for your products, which acts as free marketing if you're able to nurture the right audience with the right product line and offer. And one example of a company that everyone knows about that has successfully created the flywheel effect for their business is
Amazon.
Now, obviously, I understand it's pretty difficult to replicate what Amazon has done because they've had billions of dollars poured into their business and they are a large corporation. And according to the SBA, 99.9% of businesses in America are small businesses. So the question is, how can you create a flywheel effect for your business without needing millions of dollars and being backed by venture capitalist investors? Well, if you took half a second to read the title, then you know the answer to this question is social media, at least in terms of this video that I'm making. And although this video is not specifically about building the flywheel effect for your company, by properly managing your social media, you will be heading in the right direction. And that is the point of this video, to help make sure that you're properly managing your social media in a way that is 1, efficient, 2, stress-free, and 3, effective, so that you're actually reaching your company goals via social media. Now, you're probably scratching your head and wondering, why should I listen to you? Why should you listen to me? Well, here is a look at my social media resume. I won't waste your time going over all of this, but basically my social media and content creation interest began around in middle school, around 2008, when me and my friends would make silly little skits and comedy videos on YouTube. Eventually, I also tried helping my parents with their small local restaurant. We lived in a small town and, businesses was always struggling. So as a result, I would make these little promo videos and throw them on Facebook in hopes that people would get attracted to the business and come and check out our food. Now, fast forward, in around my first year of college is when me and my friends decided to launch a couple of e-commerce brands. Now, I use the term brands lightly because these were all just drop shipping products and Amazon FBA products. Most of them did fail, however, a few were successful. So those really helped me learn digital advertising, proper branding, and most importantly for this video, social media managing. So now let me give you a little table of contents so you know exactly what to expect in this video. There are going to be 4 main topics that we discuss in this video. Number 1 being platform and content strategy. Number 2 being growing your following. Number 3 is nurturing your audience. And number 4 is how to do all of this in the most efficient way possible so that you're not spending all of your time on social media as a business owner. And hint, hint, obviously this means automation and delegation, but I'll get more into that at the end of the video. So first, let's talk about choosing a social media platform and content strategy. And I also want to preface this video by saying, obviously there are a lot more complexities and intricacies when considering a content strategy, but this is just a very basic video to give you an overall look into how the big picture looks. So first of all, you have to choose a platform to be on, and you have to consider the demographic of these platforms, right? So we have Instagram, we have Facebook, Pinterest, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, maybe Snapchat, if you still consider that a popular social media. Some people do, I guess. A lot of people don't, but it's up to you. And obviously different industries will succeed with different platforms, right? So for example, if you're selling a small and trendy, almost like an impulse buy type of gadget, then probably TikTok, Instagram, and Snapchat are the ones for you. Just because these platforms generally have a shorter attention span. I mean, let's face it, right? All of social media is causing people to have shorter attention spans, but specifically these platforms already have these people jacked up on dopamine from scrolling mindlessly through their feed and just getting like instant dopamine hits, right? So if you're able to put your product in front of these people as they're scrolling, let's say your product is like something that's relatively affordable, so you don't really have to think too much about buying it. It's something that looks fun, it's trendy, it's new, it just looks unique in a certain way, then there's a good chance that you can get good sales from those platforms. Now, when it comes to YouTube, for example, these are usually used for more complex services or more complex products that you're selling. Could be like a SaaS product, could be maybe social media management services like what I'm doing, social media marketing services. And the reason for that is because a lot of people make longer, more detailed videos, such as the one that I'm making right now, explaining the service and explaining like why they would be a good fit to work with, or just giving you so much value and knowledge that they become trustworthy. And then considering all those things, you'll probably contact them to work with them. Now, it's important to have a goal for each platform, right? Because we discussed that each platform has their own demographic. So we want to cater our strategy to each platform to make sure that we're leveraging what the platform is already used for and is what the platform's strengths are. I guess that's a better way to say it. So for Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, maybe you're using these platforms to show off trendy or viral aspects of your service or product. So for example, maybe you're selling these flying orb balls. Recently, these have been kind of trending, and you're just showing off how it's fun to play around with and can help reduce feelings of anxiety or boredom, kind of similar to the fidget spinners, and you're just showing that it's a very unique product. Now for LinkedIn, maybe you're not using this to sell your product, but instead sharing your company success, your team culture, in order to get top level talent to join your team so you can continue growing the business and growing your team and just improving your operations. Now, for YouTube, for example, this might not be the best place to sell these small impulsive gadgets like I mentioned for Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Then again, it might be, it really depends who you're targeting, right? Because there are a lot of kids channels here that really do, even though they have longer form content, it's like it's a bunch of like short videos combined in one. It's like just dopamine after dopamine after dopamine. So you could consider doing that. Another way you could try and sell products is do a VAT19 type of channel where you're just creating these custom viral products that are just super interesting, and you're creating a bunch of videos, a bunch of entertaining videos explaining the products, using them, and just having like an entertaining way of showcasing them. But YouTube can be a great way to get new customers and nurture your current audience into buying maybe a coaching program. I'm sure you know, like educational courses or these mentorship coaches. Maybe you're a fitness coach, maybe you do video editing, maybe you help people grow their YouTube channel, so you're showing off all your results and all your tips and tricks for how to grow a YouTube channel. So when it comes to these more complex services and anything that you can interact with someone online and like service them online without sending them a physical product, then this is definitely something that you can do through YouTube. Now, as for what type of content you should be making for each platform, this is hard to say because I don't know your exact circumstance, but in general, you just want to keep in mind what your goal on that platform is, as well as the native content style on that platform, right? So for example, on TikTok, you're not going to be creating and posting videos that are horizontal, right? That are like boxes like this, because on there, everything is vertical. And you're probably also not going to have like really boring and long-winded type of videos. You're probably going to have videos that are more instant, that are like really quick and to the point. So for example, let's say you're selling a high-tech trendy toothbrush, right? Now this is not a toothbrush, but you kind of get the point. It's probably not the best idea to post a long, information-heavy content onto TikTok, right? It would be way better to post some kind of meme, maybe some sort of comedy skit based around your toothbrush, or maybe even a dance. I guess, you know, I've seen some people or some advertisements do like TikTok dances with like point to random things, and then, you know, those are like benefits of the products and whatnot, right? So maybe you take your toothbrush, start pointing at random things, and you know, letting people know why they should consider buying your toothbrush. And the same thing applies to other social media platforms, right? For example, Instagram and Facebook, people go on there to see pictures of their friends, their families, and celebrities that they want to follow. So rather than only posting really high quality, professional, studio quality, if not like these corporate video type of content onto your feed and onto those platforms, you should try and creating more amateurish, maybe even like selfies. Maybe it looks like your friend took a photo, just those types of content, because that's what people want to see when they're scrolling through the platform. And in the captions is where you should be trying to sell your product or service and have a call to action to try and get your viewers to maybe book in a call with you or just go on your website and purchase your service. Obviously, one exception to this rule of creating like amateurish content is if you have some sort of luxury brand, right? Because those luxury brands, I mean, I don't think I've ever seen Louis Vuitton do any sort of infomercial or something that looks amateurish. They always have studio quality stuff, right? So that's kind of the exception there. But other than that, if you're selling like a coaching program, if you're a fitness coach or whatever, you know, you really want to consider doing this type of content. Now, before we continue, there's one thing to consider that is crucial when it comes to succeeding on social media, and that is to take half a second of your day to go ahead and
smash the like button for the YouTube algorithm.
And this actually brings up a good point, right? All jokes aside, try experimenting with different call to actions on your posts to see if it increases engagement at all. I mean, in theory, it should, right? Because you're kind of like letting people know about this when they might not even be thinking about it. You never know until you try and test it out. Maybe there's no difference at all. I remember Rhett and Link with Good Mythical Morning. If you watch that YouTube channel, they explained how they tried testing to see if people actually increase likes when they say it, when they mention it in the video. And I think their conclusion was it doesn't really affect it as much, or it doesn't make a noticeable difference, so they stopped doing it. I could be wrong, but I do remember a video where they mentioned this topic. Did you like the video yet? Oh, you did? Okay, cool. Let's move on. Now let's talk about growing your audience. Wait 1 second right there, buckaroo. If you want me and my team to manage your social media for you, I'm gonna leave a calendar link down below. Look, I'm not like a salesman or anything like that, so no high pressure sales. Simply we'll have a conversation, see if we can work with you. If I can't work with you, if I don't feel like I can help you, I don't want to work with you. So I'll try to guide you in the right direction, try to be like, hey, I think this is the approach that you need to take, right? But if I do think we can help you, and then I'll be like, yeah, let's work together. Here's our price. So in the description below, thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye. So there are thousands of strategies and algorithm hacks that you can leverage to grow your following on social media. But at the end of the day, there are only two categories of growth on social media. And that is 1, organic, and 2, paid. Now, real quick, guys, before you even consider using any of these methods, you have to ask yourself, is it even necessary for my business to have a lot of followers? The reason I say this is because although obviously it's beneficial to have a large following on social media for the social proof and for the free marketing, it may not be the best way to allocate your resources and attention unless your business is being an influencer. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, I keep messing up this part of the script, so I'm just gonna read it through my laptop, how I wrote it down. So an example I had is, let's say that you are in the beginning phase of selling your product or your service, right? So if you don't even have a way to consistently get new customers and generate revenue for your business, then why on earth would you be worried about your follower count, right? Your first priority should be creating a predictable flow of traffic for your product or service, whether that's cold emails, influencer marketing, advertising. You just need to make sure that your business is actually making money and has a proof of concept first, right? You don't want to just spend all this time on social media just to figure out that your service that you were trying to sell is not even something that your target audience was interested in, right? So let's get that proof of concept first by hustling and helping out clients and helping out customers selling your product first, and then move on to thinking, okay, now I know how to sell this service. Now I know exactly what my target audience needs. Let's focus on social media and transitioning the pieces of information you learned from helping out your clients into pieces of content for social media. Okay, now let's talk about organic methods of growth. So this refers to growing your social media without paying any money. So you're not doing any advertising, you're not doing any influencer shout outs, nothing like that, just completely organic, right? So there are a few ways that we can approach this. So one of the ways we can do this is tag a friend type posts. Another way is by doing giveaways. This is kind of similar to like the tag a friend type posts. Another way we can do this is by having these social platforms algorithm sharing your content, right? Obviously your content needs to be unique and you need to be making sure you have a specific niche. Otherwise the algorithm is not going to know who to actually share that piece of content with. Although beware of the algorithm hack trap. This is when people try to make content and try to hack their way to the top. This can be great because it's really good to understand how the algorithm works. However, when people are way too focused on hacking their way to the top, they usually forget that the piece of content is actually shown to human beings. It's not shown to algorithms, right? And the algorithm responds to human beings. So long story short, if your content is really, really appealing to your target demographic, the algorithm will then pick that up and then it will help boost your video or your content to other people in that demographic. So yeah, make sure your content is solid. And the last thing that I wrote down here is just to follow and interact with people inside of your demographic. Now, there are a few other ways you can apply this and a few other ways you can approach organic growth, but these are just the few methods that I wanted to list down for this video. So what can you expect with organic growth? Well, first of all, it's going to be slow. Okay, it's going to be very, very slow. You can probably grow anywhere from 50 or maybe even like as low as 30 if this is like your first month trying everything, you're experimenting with a lot of things, up to maybe like 300 to 500 followers a month. And the good thing is this can be pretty consistent as long as you're consistently doing the daily action. So if you're like engaging with people and you're seeing that a lot of people are following you after that, make sure you're consistently engaging with people every single day, right? Obviously. Also, you should note down when it comes to giveaways and some of these tag a friend type of posts, some of these followers will disappear. Maybe like 50% of these followers will unfollow you after a few days because they don't really want to follow you for your content, but they just kind of follow you to try and win something for free. For the people who are following you and continue to follow you after the giveaway, they might not be the most engaged follower. So this is kind of a risk you're taking because this can actually hurt your account. For example, if the algorithm shows your content to this person and like I said, they're not a very engaging person, they never really cared about your account, but they just keep following you anyways, and they just scroll through and they ignore your piece of content, the algorithm will think, okay, well, this is your demographic, this is your follower doesn't even like your content, so why would I show it to new people? Why would I even waste my energy showing it to new people, right? So these people can actually be kind of harmful, so you want to kind of consider taking that risk. Also, there's another thing that people do is they can remove followers for you. They can remove these ghost followers and these inactive followers, and that way you can kind of boost your engagement score or your engagement percentage or rating. However, if you're confident you can make unique content for a specific niche, then all these methods can help introduce new eyeballs to your channel or your page for free. And as I mentioned earlier, if the algorithm is picking up that a bunch of new eyeballs are engaging with your content, then it'll help spread your content even further to new users who just didn't know that your account even existed. If you're deciding to stick with free organic methods of growth, just make sure that you're focusing in on it for the long term and that you're really, really paying attention to your content creation and really making sure that your content is catered to a specific specific group of people. Now, moving on to paid methods, this refers to spending money in order to gain exposure for your page or your post. So maybe you're doing paid promotions, shout outs, collaboration posts, collaboration videos like that. Maybe you're doing boosting your posts, or maybe you're doing targeted engagement advertising campaigns. Now, what I'm about to say, you want to consider for everything, right? Organic, paid, it doesn't matter, but especially when you're using your money to grow your page or your post or whatever it is, you want to make sure that you're always optimizing, okay? Always be optimizing, right? Kind of like that always be closing kind of reference. You want to make sure that you're constantly analyzing data and testing new styles of content to see which style is performing the best. If you see a specific type of content is performing better than usual, has higher engagement rates than usual, then you want to allocate more budget to those types of posts, and you want to try and recreate more of those types of posts in the future. And the same vice versa. If you're trying to boost some kind of post, but it's just not getting any engagement, then obviously you want to pull back the budget and try again with a different type of post. Now, when it comes to paid shoutouts, these can work extremely well, and you can probably get the highest return on investment. However, you have to be really making sure that you're getting a shout out from the right channel, because first of all, if they have a bunch of ghost followers and they have low engagement themselves, then you're probably just wasting money because no one's going to pay attention to their post in the first place, right? Or if it's not even a demographic that's related to you, then you're probably wasting your money. Or if it's a channel that already has an overlapping audience with you, then it's probably not beneficial because you're shouting out your channel or your social media pages to a audience that already knows who you are, right? So you have to make sure you're doing research to figure out exactly who is the best fit for this shout out. But when you figure out who that person is, or what niche or what industry you have to target, then it can be very, very beneficial. Now, the steadiest and the most predictable return on investment, as in terms of like followers and growth, will come from these advertising campaigns, like these engagement ad campaigns that you launch. Especially if you have evergreen content, and if you find a winning post, then sometimes I've even seen posts from last year that are promoted to me simply because they are still engaging. They're still very engaging, and they still apply to their demographic, and they still get the results that the person is hoping for, which is most likely someone visiting their page and giving them a follow, or just interacting and acknowledging that their channel or that their page exists. Another great thing about paid advertising is you can test out so many different variations and factors at once. And unlike the shout outs, you can actually turn off and turn on these advertisements whenever you please, right? If you have a shout out and you have a contract locked in and you already paid your money, then it's not like you're going to be getting half your money back for half the exposure, unless you got some kind of deal, but it's going to be way too complicated, right? Whereas for advertising, you're going to be paying it as you go. And let's say as you're going, you're like, okay, I was planning on spending $100 on this post, but it's not performing well. I spent $20 and it's really crap. So you know what? I'm just going to pull back my money and then save that $80 to spend on another post, right? That's a great thing about paid advertising. Now, another method of paid advertising sort of is boosting your post. Okay, so this is another thing you can do. You can pay the social platform to boost your post to get more impressions, which just means views. And this is similar to running paid advertising campaigns, but the only thing that's different, I believe, is you might not have the same level of audience targeting with boosting, right? So most marketers say that boosting is a complete waste of money for this reason. But if you're not familiar with your social platform's ads manager and your goal is just engagement and bringing in new eyes to your post, this is a pretty simple way to accomplish this. Okay, and lastly, let's talk about audience nurturing and community building. If you did a good job getting new eyes and new followers to your page, congratulations, your reward is more work. Have you ever seen those pages where they have a few 100,000 followers, but then you look at who's actually engaging with their post and you see that they're only getting a few hundred, if not just a few dozen people liking and commenting on their posts, right? Well, there's a few reasons that this may be happening. Number one, maybe they have fake followers, right? Number two, the content just isn't valuable to their followers anymore, like it was when they were first gaining a lot of followers. Or number three, their focus is just not on building a community around their following, so people just kind of forgot about them, and their attention is more busy with other content creators and other social media pages that are more community driven and that just have gained these people's attention. Another thing is maybe they're just posting random things without considering engagement or the algorithm. For example, one client that I worked with mentioned that they worked with a team to try and boost their social media presence. However, this team, they really just created posts and just like really frequently posted on her social media. So they were like, yeah, we're going to post 5 times a day. You're going to have so much content. It's going to be great. But the posts sucked. So they were just like kind of spamming their time timeline, and it just wasn't working out. So you want to kind of make sure you're not doing that. Obviously, you want to make sure that your posts are very well thought out and that your frequency is good. Don't get me wrong, frequency is good, but just make sure your quality is good too. Now, if you do not want to end up like these accounts, listen carefully. Okay, number one, content is king. So you want to run polls and asking your followers to see what they'd like to see more of, or maybe what they currently need help with. Maybe you want to try creating memes related to your niche. You want to analyze your competitors and see what they aren't doing with their content that you could be doing. It doesn't even have to be competitors too. You can actually take ideas from other niches and other industries. Let's say you notice that vloggers are doing a certain type of video, or there's a certain type of trend in vlogging that's really entertaining and captures a lot of attention, right? Maybe you can use that same style of video or whatever it is and then do it for your target audience, and then that way you're the first person in kind of your niche to create those types of engaging videos, right? It may work, it may not work, but a lot of social media pages and YouTube channels, for example, excel when they're doing this, right? When they're doing something really unique to a certain target audience that hasn't been done before. Graham Stephan, for example, has done this. Before Graham Stephan, finance channels were very boring, and he kind of made it more entertaining and easier to dissect all this boring information in layman's terms so that anyone and the average person can understand finance and follow finance through his YouTube channel. Now, if you're not doing videos, if you're just doing like graphics and maybe just photos, that type of stuff, you just want to A/B split test different templates to see what your audience is actually engaging with and making sure that these posts have tons of value for your audience. So this could be dissecting the results in the polls that you ran. Maybe this could be sharing motivation by dissecting case studies or success studies or success stories. I mean, this could be tips and tricks that your competitors don't talk about. Just try your best to be unique and give your audience a reason to pay attention to your posts. Now, for those who are making like the graphic GIFs or animation type videos where it's not actually you in the video, you kind of just want to do the same thing that I mentioned for the graphic posts and the photos, okay? You just want to A/B split test, keep testing out different things, and just make sure it looks very professional, very nice, and it shouldn't be too difficult to do. We have, softwares like Canva, Photoshop, all these other softwares. They help really make it easy to come off as professional and have a clean look, okay? When it comes to having videos of yourself, let's say you're like a fitness coach, right? So you have to make a lot of like videos, and kind of like what I'm doing, like I'm a social media marketer, so I make a lot of videos face to face. You do not have to worry about having some sort of like super professional setup, okay? You really don't. I use a microphone because I understand that audio is very important, but for videos, I just use a iPhone. For the past like 6 or 7 videos, I've been using my iPhone. Before then, I was using a DSLR, but a sad sob story, I got robbed. Someone stole my DSLR, and I kind of just never bought one because I thought, okay, I could spend another $800 or I could just use my phone. So that's kind of what I've been doing for now. But my point is, you don't need you don't need like 3 camera angles. You don't need a professional production company. You don't need to hire a videographer. Just make sure the content is good. Make sure you're kind of storytelling. Make sure you're sharing like really useful tips, and make sure you're just being honest and genuine with your audience. And then it doesn't matter if you have all these fancy things. They just want to receive good information, good tips from you, and then just, watch your videos mainly, right? Another reason is people just like your personality sometimes, and that's why they follow you. Maybe it's not even like your information per se, but they just like you as a person, right? So that's another cool thing about making videos face to face like this. So now that your content is as best it can be with the resources that you have available to you, it's time to nurture your audience and really build a community with your audience, right? So here are just a few ways that you can do this. So if someone posts a story about you, repost that story on your story, or at least acknowledge them with a DM. Maybe you want to do a voice message too. Maybe you just want to send them a quick video saying like, hey, thanks for that. Thanks for sharing my story, man. It means a lot. Just acknowledge their engagement so they feel good about it, and so that it kind of motivates them to engage with your posts in the future as well. Also, if you couldn't tell, it's currently 6 a.m. I started filming this at like 4 a.m. That's why I'm quiet. Everyone's sleeping. And also that's why it's super dark out. Maybe you'll see the sunrise. I don't know. Who knows? Okay, moving on. So another thing you can do is respond to your comments with genuine responses. Okay, don't respond with spammy, bot-like, or like not very well thought out answers and not really well thought out comments, because it's an engagement game. It's a people-to-people game. It's not like an algorithm game. Like I mentioned before, you're not algorithm hacking here. You're like building genuine connections and really trying to be genuine and providing actual value to your people, right? So instead of commenting just random things like, hey, thank you, or just thumbs up, or just a heart or emoji or something like that, you want to actually respond to them. You want to try and maybe start a conversation, maybe an open-ended question, or just like genuinely, just answer the question they have, or genuinely respond to the comment. Don't just leave some generic emoji or some generic response that doesn't make sense to their comment. Another thing you can try doing is go live. So maybe you go live on YouTube, maybe on Facebook, maybe on Instagram, wherever it is that you decide to go live. Maybe you can do all of them, right? All at once if you have like multiple devices available. And you want to do this and you want to answer any questions that come in, or you want to answer just FAQs, or maybe it's like a story time, or maybe you're just hanging out with your followers while talking about the industry that you're in. Maybe there's some issues in the industry and you just want to like openly talk to your audience about it, share your experience with it. These things are really, really helpful. People love getting instant information. So for example, for marketers out there, the iOS 14 thing was a disaster, right? I'm sure when iOS 14 and everyone was like really struggling to overcome that issue for Facebook ads, then it would have been really helpful to have someone go live on Facebook or live on YouTube and be like, yo guys, ask me all the iOS 14 questions you have. I will share all of my answers with you. And then, yeah, it'll just be really beneficial to do that so people know. So first of all, you're the first one to address those kinds of issues. So you're the first one to, get the story and get the information out there on social media. And not only that, but it's just very, very engaging knowing that someone's acknowledging you through live. Let's say Kevin Hart goes live or something, right? And then I'm not saying like these influencers or the people that you're going live with are these super celebrities, but it feels great to know if Kevin Hart is like, hey, Akash, thanks for joining my live. I just saw you join my live, right? So it's kind of that same psychology, but just on a smaller scale, I guess. Or you can also do FAQ story posts and directly answer people on your story or post. Like for example, I'm sure you guys have seen this. People have like polls, or they say like, ask me anything. And then they answer every single question that is on there. And the great thing about being engaged with your audience is you can make way better content. You can make, you just have a lot more content ideas, and you just understand your demographic more. That's really all it is. And the person who understands their audience and their demographic more will most likely create better content than someone who thinks that they know the audience but isn't actively in the trenches talking to people and solving issues with them and just being engaged with them. So that's another reason you want to take into consideration. Okay, so it's been a pretty long video, right? Now this is a lot of work though. I didn't say it was going to be easy, but it's gonna be worth it, I promise. And by the way, I haven't even gotten into how to collect data and analyze the data to ensure you're making the right decisions. Although, spoiler alert, basically you just look at the numbers, and if a certain style of post or a certain style of content is doing better than the other styles of content, you want to double down on the success, obviously, right? So that's just like a really quick high level view of how to do that. But I promise, once you start gaining followers, once you start getting traction, you see that people are actually engaging with you, people are following with you, people are DMing you saying like, hey, thanks for this information, thanks for this content, this was helpful, that was helpful. Once you see your sales increase, once you see the flywheel really starting to develop and that people are like exponentially following your account, right? Everything is just growing exponentially every single month, then it's just a great feeling, and it's worth every single second that you spend doing all these different experimentation, whether it's different content styles, different posting schedules, different platforms that you tried out, all these things, everything, all the effort that you put into it, it's going to be very, very worth it, because once you have this flywheel effect, like I mentioned earlier in this video, it just works as a machine. For example, I haven't made content, like I made a YouTube short a few months ago, right? And then I haven't made like an actual YouTube video in like 6 or 7 months, but I still get people DMing me, I still get more views, I still have more subscribers month on month. It'll just help you grow consistently throughout time. If your content is good, the algorithm will help you over time. Now, in the beginning of the video, I mentioned that I would be showing you how to do this in the most efficient way possible, right? And that is delegation. Well, for example, if you already have traction with your social media, or if you already have a budget set aside to help in delegate some of those tasks, you can consider working with me and having me manage your social media for you. Maybe we will be a good fit, maybe not, who knows? But the only way we can figure out is if we contact each other and get into a quick meeting. So I'll leave my information down below in the description box so you can contact me, and then we can set up a meeting, like I said, see if we'll be a good fit, all that good stuff. But other than that, I think that is it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it, and I hope everyone has a wonderful day and is crushing it with their social media. If you have any questions, please ask me in the comments below. I answer every single comment because well, first of all, engagement, right? Obviously. But also it's just because I have the time to. It's not like my channel is big. It's not like I get a bunch of comments. So feel free to ask away. Follow me on Instagram. DM me there too. That's it. Thank you so much, guys. Hope you have a great day.